Hillary Clinton received more in campaign contributions than any other candidate, Republican or Democrat, from the state of Alabama. As you may or may not be aware, there's a fiery presidential election going on at the moment. Former Secretary of State and seasoned Washington veteran Hillary Clinton is locked in a tight election race with the flamboyant and boisterous billionaire Donald Trump. And election day is just a few weeks away. In order to finance this massive battle, the candidates raised millions of dollars in campaign contributions, most of which comes from donations from people just like you. Hillary Clinton, for instance, has raised over $500 million since the beginning of 2015. 72% came from individual campaign contributions. Donald Trump has raised just $168 million in the last year and a half. Just over 30% of that came out of his own pocket. But let's take a look at how the people of Alabama contributed financially to this year's presidential election. According to data compiled by the Federal Elections Commission and analyzed by AL.com, the people of Alabama have contributed roughly $3.7 million so far this election season. Republicans as a group took home the most cash at about $2.6 million. Democrats, on the other hand, were about half that at $1.1. But when you look at individual candidates, the results are a little different than you might expect. The top earning candidate in the state of Alabama was actually Hillary Clinton, bringing in a little bit more than $826,000. That's over $200,000 more than the next candidate. It's Ted Cruz, then Ben Carson, then Marco Rubio. Then and only then do you reach the Republican nominee and Alabama primary winner, Donald Trump, coming in fourth place among Republicans and bringing in a little bit more than $400,000 in contributions from the state. So why did this happen? The lack of monetary support from Republicans of Alabama for Donald Trump may represent their reluctance to line up behind a, at times, polarizing figure. You can see the campaign contributions for all the other potential GOP candidates spike while they're ahead in the polls, only to tank once they start losing to Donald Trump. The discrepancy is also likely a function of Alabama's early primary position. If you'll remember, Alabama's primary was way back on the 1st of March of this year. Early on, Alabamians went with Ben Carson until he fell behind in Super Tuesday voting. Then they went with Ted Cruz until he suspended his campaign on the 4th of May. At the time, Donald Trump was making a big deal out of self-funding his own campaign and wasn't seeking contributions in the same way that other candidates were. So after Ted Cruz drops off, we see a bit of a lull in Alabama contributions. That is, until the day after the Republican convention, when Donald Trump accepted the nomination. We see a spike in Republican donations in the state. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, had a pretty consistent flow of funding coming from Alabama Democrats, stretching all the way back to the beginning of 2015. Her biggest contribution day of the year came just a few days before the Alabama primary, on the 25th of February. What area gave the most money? Unsurprisingly, Birmingham, Huntsville, and Mobile gave the most money to candidates collectively. However, the average donation ranged around the $150 mark. Mountain Brook, Alabama, which is a suburb of Birmingham, gave nearly $200,000 this campaign season. That sum of money was given by less than 500 people, meaning that their average donation was roughly 3 times that of anywhere else in the state. Watch here for more Alabama presidential election coverage. For AL.com, I'm Ian Hoppy.